What's up everybody, Bootsy Greenwood here, and I want to talk a little bit about the basics of transurfing, okay? Where all this comes from is based on quantum physics, and I'm going to grossly oversimplify this, okay? So if you're a scientist, go ahead and change the channel right now. You're not going to want to watch this. I'm going to butcher this real hard. But basically, even before I found transurfing, I found a book called Outwitting the Devil, okay? I'm going to write that up here because honestly, it's one of the best books I've ever read. It's the second best book I've ever read other than transurfing. And of course, Tufti's right up there. And I don't just say that because I'm part of the transurfing community. Transurfing was the book when I was reading a lot of books on self-help. And when I found that book, I was like, okay, this is my, Bible, so to speak, for lack of a better way to say it. And I made a decision that I was going to practice it every single day for a year at that point. And that has been 3.5 years. So highly recommend this book. The way he talks in this book, Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill wrote this book in 1937. It was his second book. Many of you have probably heard of Think and Grow Rich. It's probably the most popular self-help book ever written. Outwitting the Devil he wrote second in 1937, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. And I do have a link to the audiobook version of it on the channel. So it's in the best audiobooks playlist. But it wasn't able to be published until 2011, okay? 2011. And he wrote it in 1937. And some of the stuff in there is incredibly curious. So if you're in for a page turner where a guy who claims to have had a literal conversation with the devil, and it's pretty believable, honestly, that he may have. Because it's a mind blower. So just wanted to plug that book because it's really good. And if you read Transurfing, a lot of the ideas that are in there are present in Outwitting the Devil as well. And so I want to talk a little bit about quantum theory. There's this thing called the observer effect. And if you've seen What the Bleep Do We Know or some movies like that, they talk a little bit about this. Now, what the observer effect it means is that whoever's conducting the experiment, without an observer, there can't be an experiment. Somebody has to be there in order to record what happens, to witness what happens, right? That's the witness or the observer, the person who's watching or conducting the experiment. This marker is squeaky. And so what scientists found, and again, this is very layman's terms, was that based on this particular experiment that they were running, they would influence the outcome of the experiment. So basically, if they tested for particles at the basis of reality, like what is reality? What is this stuff? Is it particles or is it waves? Well, when they tested for particles, they would find particles. And you can look this up in the double slit theory. And then when they tested for waves, they would find waves. And I found this to be very curious and very interesting. But it also goes along quite well with Vadim's work. And this is very simplified. I'm going to stop doing apologetics, but I really can't claim that I understand this super well, but this should hopefully be a little bit helpful. So when they tested for particles, they get particles. And Vadim was a quantum physicist for the USSR. So he understood this very well. And basically, if we were to overlay this, okay? So when we test for particles in our own experiments, then we would get particles, right? Reality is going to agree with whatever it is that our opinion is. If we think that the world is bad and it's out to get us, then reality will show us exactly that picture. We're projecting that even from a subconscious level without even realizing it. Now, if we say that the world is good, it's a good place, it's positive, it takes care of us, and we're happy about the world, and it's a beautiful place to live, then the world also then agrees. So the world is a mirror in that regard, and that's what we're talking about in reality transurfing. So we can overlay this with a concept from Napoleon Hill's book as well, where he says, for every cause, there is a seed for an effect. And it's either positive or negative. So either positive or negative. For everything that happens, we get to choose as the observer whether that thing is positive or negative to us. Waves or particles, positive or negative. And really, if you go into this, scientifically, it's really not even negative, it's cathode, but That's in the Kabbalion as well. But we literally have the option. It's up to us. And this is why in Tufti, the advantage principle is emphasized so strongly. She says, whatever happens to you, and I know this is really counterintuitive. It's really far against the way that we're brought up, right? For us to imagine this. But if you try it, and see how it works for you, I recommend at least attempting to stay as vigilant as possible, because what happens is, and I'm just about to do another video about this, is we have this idea in our mind. We think the script needs to go a certain way, but the script is going to vary based on what the world is trying to give us. If we want to get from here to here, then it's not like this. It's not a linear progression. This is what our mind wants us to think. But if you've ever accomplished a goal, you know that this is not true. It's bullshit. Like, you don't, call Mary and then she, sends your resume to somebody and then whatever it is that is between these two places, it's never going to come about the way you think it will, ever. If you've ever accomplished any goal at all, you know that that's not true. It's much more wildly like this and like that, and then this thing happens that you didn't expect, and then you eventually get there. And that's because of the advantage principle. Advantage, okay? It's like you start out and the world is like, oh, okay, great. And then something happens, like Mary does the thing that you thought, but she didn't call so-and-so, and you check back with her and you're like, what the hell, Mary? I thought we were buddies, And so now you crash, emotionally, and now you're over here and this other thing happens, and you get to here. But if you continue to hold this advantage principle in mind, even if you go, even if things do appear to plummet, you've got to know, look, if you are a particle of God, right? If God is consciousness and God is in each one of us, then whatever true experience or goal that you have, like, that doesn't mean a Tesla, okay? Whatever experience that you truly want to experience, that was placed in you by the Creator himself. Why on earth would God want to torture himself by giving him a goal, by giving himself a goal and then not accomplishing it? It's up to us to co-create to make that happen, and the advantage principle is how we do that. So the observer effect is very beneficial in that. Remember, we decide whether or not each thing that happens to us is to our benefit or to our detriment. And it's up to us every single time. So we need to learn to put in practices, right? Like, make it a habit. It has to become an automatic habit that when anything happens, your car breaks down, or, you go to jail. These are things that have happened to me too, like, life dishes out stuff that you don't necessarily want for it to happen. Things happen. Train wrecks happen. People die. That's the game that we signed up for somehow or another. So when those things happen, that doesn't mean that you dance on someone's grave, okay? That's not what I mean. But you have to learn how to continue on the path and know that the world is supporting you to get you to your goal, especially if that's something that is a pure intention. And I think most of us do have a pure intention, and a lot of us, even who have pure intentions, somehow don't even think we deserve it. But you deserve it, and remember, whatever happens, however it plays out, advantage, okay? If you booked a show and it fell through or whatever, advantage. There's gonna be a better show. There's gonna be another. Who knows, if you think about, like, even the bad things that happen, think about how much worse they could be, okay? If you did get in trouble for something, well, maybe you should have been in trouble for something else a multitude of times before that were even worse. And now you get to learn your lesson in a way that's beneficial to you and not completely destroying your life. That's just one example. Well, anyway, you guys check me out on Patreon. Check me out on Gumroad. It's July, toward the end of July now, and I'm going to be gone all of August. So I just kind of want to let people know, I'm going to be gone all of August in Spain, unreachable on a cruise ship. So you won't be able to get in touch with me, but as soon as I am able to correspond, I absolutely will. So patreon.com/Bootsy Greenwood. The podcast is still going to come out while I'm gone for Reality Transurfing and all that. So please support me there if you can. I really appreciate that. That would mean a ton. I'll keep making videos. And also check me out on gumroad.com. I've got some meditations and I made everything as free as I possibly can on that site, but you can also pay for stuff on there as well. So you can name your own price and that sort of thing. I also have an email list up there and I'm the laziest email marketer ever. I won't bug you unless it's important, I promise. You know, and I don't even have anything other than a free book to give you, and that's going to be a surprise. So as soon as you get the first email, you'll get a link. You can download an entire free audiobook for yourself to do whatever it is that you want with, and that is 100% yours. Anyway, so that's it. I'm done plugging stuff. I hope this helps, and I hope you guys are doing great. Peace.